Chronicles of Myranthel, Book 1, The Fire of Destiny. Prologue. There was a time when the world was young, and the echoes of creation still resonated through the valleys and mountains of Myranthel. When the primordial fire roared with a life of its own, and the darkness had not yet been contained, the first races emerged, direct children of that eternal flame. From the embers of light came the Elvar, keepers of memory and balance, whose voices could harmonize with the very fabric of the world. From the heart of stone and steel arose the Dravern, steadfast as the mountains and strong as the earth that bore them. And from the deepest shadows took form the creatures of darkness, beings whose names faded with the cycles, though their whispers still linger in the forgotten corners of the north. As the ages passed, when the flame of the Elvar mingled with the shifting breath of time, new races were born. From them came the elves, elegant, proud, eternal wanderers of Myranthel's forests, and the Fae, green-eyed nymphs woven in the light of nature, whose bond to the primordial fire was as intense as it was fleeting. Though they vanished over the centuries, their lineage still sleeps in the blood of a few. From the Dravern descended the dwarves, tireless craftsmen who tame mountains, caverns, and depths, raising kingdoms of stone and metal. From them also came the ancient men, wise and vigorous, who preserved a tenuous yet true connection to the eternal fire. As time passed and they spread across the world, some grew ephemeral and restless, driven by an indomitable spirit, while others kept the inner flame alive, becoming mages and sorceresses capable of shaping the forces that had forged the world. But the shadows never disappeared. The creatures born of them continued to roam Myranthel, waiting in silence for their moment to return. And the shadow, cunning and insatiable, discovered it no longer needed to spawn monsters to thrive. It could corrupt what already existed. It fed on pain, despair, resentment, and ambition. It seeped into the hearts of those who succumbed to such emotions, twisting their will until their souls were reshaped. From that corruption arose the witches, the dark mages, the dark elves, and the first Krogar, twisted creatures the size of a child, with yellow eyes and razor-sharp smiles, feared as the living legacy of the shadow. Thus passed the early cycles of the world, between rising and fading races, between light and darkness. What would come afterward, wars, broken pacts, heroes, and betrayals, would be told for generations. But everything began here, in the days when creation still burned. As centuries rolled on and the races walked the lands of Myranthel with surer steps, the relics of the dawn emerged, 7 fragments of power forged by ancient hands, each bearing a pure connection to the primordial fire. They were not mere weapons or ornaments, but symbols of balance, born from the spirit of each people and reflecting their virtues and fears: fire, shadow, air, earth, spirit, blood, and light. Soon, what had been conceived as a bond between the races became the root of their discord. Ambition, doubt, and the desire for dominion fanned disputes that grew like sparks in the wind. Nations began coveting one another's relics, seeking to gather them to claim a power no race was meant to possess. An era of war erupted and stretched across centuries. Mountains cracked, forests burned to ash, ancient cities sank beneath the earth, and entire seas ran red. The shadows seized the chaos. Corrupted beings and creatures born of darkness rose to ravage every place where the light faltered. And yet, amidst the devastation, improbable alliances were forged, and heroes of mixed blood stood against the darkness. There were victories sung for generations and defeats so deep they are still whispered on moonless nights. When the final great battle threatened not just the races, but the world itself, the wise made their last decision: to hide what had torn the world apart. The relics of the dawn were sealed away in secret places, scattered across the far reaches of Myranthel. And though the shadows were defeated, or so many believed, their essence never vanished entirely. Centuries brought a fragile peace, delicate as ancient crystal. But the prophecies never forgot the power of the relics, nor warned in vain that one day they would reunite. A day of reckoning, a day of rebirth. With time, Myranthel entered a new era. Men, more numerous and widespread than any other race, became the rulers of the world. For a time, stability seemed possible, but peace rarely endures. From the darkest edges of Valdara emerged a new bearer of shadows, Morvenir, the Umbral, an ambitious mage whose hunger for power knew no shape or limit. Guided by ancient whispers that should never have awakened, he found the relic forged by darkness, Karjul, the most feared of all. With it, he spread corruption like a silent plague and gathered around himself a deadly cult, the Order of the Raven. Darkness swept across the western lands with relentless force. Lesser kingdoms fell to madness and fear. But Myranthel did not yield. When the shadow threatened to consume everything, one man rose to unite the races. Arendor Galathor, king of Elendor. He forged an alliance among men, elves, dwarves, and mages, and together they marched to the final war against Morvenir. The Umbral fell, the Order of the Raven was shattered, and the world breathed again. The peace, however, did not last. For his heir, Arden Galathor, could not resist the murmurs that had once guided Morvenir. Ambition devoured him. Under his rule, the Order of the Raven was reborn, and from the power of the throne, his dominion spread like a wildfire. He subjugated Valdara, broke elven and dwarven realms, and turned the southern border into a wasteland of ruins. Only Drowan, shielded by the Thalen Range, remained free. Then an ancient prophecy was unearthed from forgotten temples. When Galathor's blood is spilled upon the northern lands, the sleeping fire shall awaken. That blood shall carry the mark of flame, shall be key and path, the arm that gathers the relics. For when the flame rises, and the relics are found, darkness shall be defeated or exalted. Many believed Arden to be the one destined to bring salvation or ruin, but the fire of destiny rarely burns where expected. Terrified by the shadow growing within him, Arden sought to destroy his own blood, a child marked by the prophecy, bearer of the mark of flame. He did not know the prophecy spoke not of his fall, but of his legacy. The child survived. He grew up in exile in the borderlands of Drowan, far from Galathor's reach and the echo of war. Unaware of his lineage or destiny, he carried within him a mark that would one day guide him toward what slept inside and determine the fate of the world. And in the forgotten corners of Myranthel, the echo of a sleeping fire began to breathe once more.